Hi, welcome to Memory Chips Podcast. I am Ann Wyszynski, and I have a collection of potato chip bags from around the world. And every so often, I go through this collection, and a certain bag or bags will bring up memories of people, places, ideas, and I really want to share these with you. So if you please subscribe, you will never miss a bag.
A couple weeks ago, I went down to Berea, Kentucky to attend the graduation of my oldest nephew, Avery, from Berea College. His younger brother, Silas, also attends Berea. So my entire family made this beautiful drive down, skirting around Louisville, where the Kentucky Derby was underway. And you could not be talking about two more wildly different worlds. One is an event where money is thrown around indiscriminately for entertainment, and what has alternately been called either, quote, the greatest 2 minutes in sports, unquote, or, quote, the most famous animal abuse event in the world, unquote. But whichever camp you subscribe to, it is the opposite of what goes on in Berea. And to understand how this falls on the opposite end of the spectrum, you would have to have a little background about this special little gem of a school. Berea was started by an agreement between abolitionists John G. Fee and Cassius M. Clay, not to be confused with the boxer Muhammad Ali. Berea's first teachers were recruited from Oberlin College, an anti-slavery stronghold in Ohio. Fee first said, quote, "We eventually look to a college giving an education to all colors, classes, cheap and thorough," unquote. And to this day, it's the full tuition scholarships provided to all students, the effectiveness of the work program, and the students' involvement in community service projects are the features highlighted by organizations like U.S. News and World Report that consistently rank Berea at the top of regional colleges in the U.S. So we're down there, and college commencement ceremonies are boring as hell, aside from a couple of special highlights, which you will hear about later in this episode. However, the main highlight for me was the actual commencement address by Geoffrey Canada, who is the visionary leader, an author, and advocate for education reform. And Geoffrey Canada grew up poor in Harlem, and he made it a promise to himself that if he could get out and do good for himself, he would go back and do good for his community. And he kept that promise at the forefront of his mind while getting his master's in education from Harvard. And he's devoted his life to advocate for quality and equality in the education of children with the Harlem Children's Zone. And in his commencement address at Berea, he asked the graduates to also promise themselves that they would take up the challenge of seeing through the goals that our current generation of leaders has not been able to accomplish. Things like creating a society shaped by values like love, human dignity, equality, and peace with justice. And this idea that he's asking of making a promise should be one that Berea students are well acquainted with, because Berea is the only one of America's top colleges that make a no tuition promise to every enrolled student. So, you heard me. They promise every student they accept to their rigorous programs that they will make it possible to graduate without debt or with very low debt. They like to say that they're the best education that money can't buy. So while enjoying a post-commencement hang with my nephews Avery and Silas and their classmates, we discussed Berea College and the promise of Berea College over Utz onion and garlic chips and Uncle Ray's Hatch green chili queso, and two flavors by a local brand called Hen of the Woods, and those were Touch of Smoke and Buttermilk and Chive.
Did any of you know about Berea before you got decided to go?
Absolutely not.
You didn't know anything?
Teammate told me about it.
A teammate, like a running teammate?
So a guy I went to high school with, he graduated, and then I was a sophomore, he's a senior, and he went to Berea, and he tried to get me to go down for a while, and then I finally went on a visit. I met the coach, and the coach lied to me about certain trails. Miles of trails. But I liked everyone, so I decided to go.
So you basically all got scouted or recruited by the track team?
No, my mom,
Not me.
My mom told me about it.
Oh, I thought that they had contacted you.
No, I contacted them. It was like one of the schools I contacted first.
Oh, okay.
I would have never found out about it. But
And how did you find out about it?
I found out about it because it was the summer before your senior year, and you have to find somewhere to go. You have to apply somewhere. And then my counselor at the summer camp was like, why don't you apply to Berea? It's free. So I was like, okay, I guess. So I applied, forgot about it, because that wasn't the school I wanted to go to. So I applied there, and I completely forgot about it. And then they sent me a refrigerator magnet saying, don't ghost us. And it was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to finish like my application in this essay. So then I finished it, and then I got
it's
it.
really passive
Okay.
aggressive.
When I tell people that, that Avery and Silas go there, then they're like, what? Free? They think it's so crazy. And then I'm like, it's so weird that nobody's heard of it.
They're usually like, you mean like community college?
My name's LaMonika Dent. I'm from Huntsville, Alabama. I'm a sophomore, about to be a junior, and I'm studying agriculture and natural resources, and I'm minoring in environmental science and sustainability and environmental studies.
Oh my God, you're never going to graduate. Okay.
I'm graduating on time.
Okay. And Avery?
I'm Avery Fair. I just graduated a couple days ago, or yesterday. And so I was a senior, but I'm done now. I'm from Hillsborough, Virginia. During my time at Berea, I studied technology and applied design and Asian studies. I was a double major, and I ran track and cross country.
My name is Robert Emmill. I am from Chillicothe, Ohio, and I am currently a sophomore, but just finished that semester. I'm going to be a junior. I'm studying to become a physical education teacher, and I'm interested in coaching. And I also am on the cross-country and track team.
Okay.
My name is Joel Mama. No, my name's Luke. I'm from Charleston, West Virginia. Computer science major. What else? I run track and cross-country at Avery and Lynn. And I'm a senior, yeah.
I'm Silas Fair. I am also from the same place that Avery is, Hillsborough, Virginia. And I'm a sophomore. I'm an Asian Studies and Computer Science major. And I also run cross-country.
You didn't know about Berea before you went. And then you got there, and then they made this problem. Like, recite that thing that you were just doing about the mission of the...
Well, I can just put, when Berea puts you on hold, that's what they play every time.
What does it say?
It says, it goes like, and then it goes, like, Berea was founded in 1855 with something with these three principles. To provide a quality education for the something underprivileged youth of Appalachia.
Avery knows this because he locks his
I lock myself out of my room
all the time. He has to call public safety.
They go, okay, wait.
They charge you $30 if it's in 3 times.
They never charged me.
They charged me, I think.
I feel like they only charge people that really keep getting themselves locked out, like consecutively. What do they call themselves? Like the Harvard of the South?
They call themselves that, but I don't see the resemblance really.
Well, I don't think anyone does, but
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's their claim to fame as being like the first interracial and co-ed.
They were founded by abolitionists.
Yeah, and then they started out from the beginning as like they were providing specifically education for underprivileged. It started out with it was more focused on black people, but then later they were one of their later presidents, I think. Was it Frost? Yeah.
Yeah, he's focused on
President Frost. He
foreign
focused
exchange.
on poor Appalachia mostly, and then more recently they've been trying to focus more on like Hispanic communities, DACA students and such.
Right.
But there's plenty of foreign students too, generally.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that was really interesting to me and like pretty fascinating was when during the graduation ceremony when they said that everybody who's like a first generation graduate stand up. That was like 75% people stood up. Holy shit! Like that's a lot. That's a lot more than I thought would be. So anyway, that I thought that was pretty. Seems like Berea makes promises like we're providing this education for like what's the term that you used? Underprivileged. Underprivileged. Do you think that, like in your experience, if anybody wants to describe what kind of underprivileged circumstances they come from, because all of you have completely different backgrounds. I'm just curious of how their idea of underprivilege actually matches up with what they're promising. Do you think that they're living up to their... You want
to go around? Or?
If you want, yeah.
I would say for the most part they do. They are pretty good at that. Like most of the people that are going to Berea have pretty bad home life and they don't have a lot of options. They probably would not end up going to college. In the case of me and Silas, we weren't really in that position. We're in the very upper end of like the income level that they do admit into the school, and probably even for that income level, probably have a better home life and better situation than a lot of people that would go to school. But
does that create like any kind of weird hierarchy?
I don't think so.
No, it's not. I wouldn't say so, but there are like some students that you can clearly see, because it's still pretty difficult to succeed there. It's pretty academically rigorous. A lot of the students that are like more underprivileged, like first generation grads, don't make it.
Because if you come from somewhere where it's not valued, like if education isn't valued in the same way, or it's not possible, you haven't been given the support to like study or somebody else. They
do a lot of that. Yeah. Right,
that's what I'm saying. So they do. So if you come from like a situation where there's not the support, like the not just tangible support, but like emotional and social support, then they give that to you, right? Is that?
Yeah, they do offer stuff like that. They have like student chaplains, which are supposed to be like I guess you could call them spiritual advisors. A lot of them are. I think most of them are Christian.
They're all Christian, yeah.
They're all Christian, but I think they offer like they're kind of like student counselors a little bit.
Do they have classes that are like study skills? Like if you don't have,
they do. They have a college prep course. I was enrolled in it my freshman semester. Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people don't really take it that seriously. Even the school, I don't think takes it that seriously.
Are they living up to their promise, or do you feel like there's?
I think to me, Berea is like a get out of jail free card for me. Where I was from is like terrible, but my community is just like riddled with drugs, and a lot of my family members have passed away. Both my brothers and my dad, and it's like, it's just I just don't care like about the small little stuff people complain about. It's just like, hey, this is a lot better than your situation. You're in a burnt out trailer park. And you had like nothing to your name, and they're just like, "Oh, here's free education, and my major can get me like any job." So it's like, you just got out jail free. Like I was going to join the military, and,
That's good.
Same.
So
oh, really?
It's just like you have nothing to your name, and now you have free education, and you can do whatever you want. So.
Oh yeah.
So. We're all like extremely grateful for the free education and all that Berea's done. I know, speaking for myself, they definitely did a really good job about helping students. Sometimes I feel like, I kind of feel like how Avery feels sometimes, that like we're all supposed to be adults there, but sometimes they make it feel like we're just being
the dorm visitation.
Yeah, dorm visitation rules in particular.
Yeah, that's
ridiculous. We're a bunch of high school students still or something. We weren't allowed for a long time 24/7 visitation. They just voted on it. I think they passed it that we can.
In freshman dorms, they actually don't allow visitation at all for like the first half of the
semester. That's why so many people snuck around. And like during COVID, it's like if you break visitation, you get suspended.
Yeah.
And so many people ended up sneaking around. And it's like, I lived in K-Tal. It was like a co-ed dorm. It was like 50% of the people there were like gone, like before the end of the semester, because they all got suspended from stuff. Yeah, and that's how it felt.
I don't care about the little stuff. I'm like, I just got And they just gave me $100,000. I'm like, fine, I'll do your stupid rules. I don't care, but I'll get out, and then I have the freedom to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just grateful for whatever. I don't care. I mean, like, every place is going to have its own stupid little rules, like work. And
When I asked before, do you think there's like some weird hierarchy of people from some situations are more, you know, like they might be like, man, the rules and whatever, and then somebody else who might be more grateful because they're coming from a situation how hard is it to deal with people who are like ungrateful of this chance that
A
they've had?
good example of that is the Berea College, the student newspaper called the Berea Torch.
oh no.
Okay,
They pretty much just complain about like every little tiny thing that's
Like the washing machine stops working and they don't fix it.
Blame
And
the
they're
school.
They blame the school, like the
You can
school
wash your clothes with
administration.
your hands.
It's
Oh, really?
like they'll just complain about, or like they were one time there was people doing donuts in the like parking lot down by like the trails where people walk around and stuff. The public safety officers came and followed them because they were doing donuts in the parking lot. It was like they were tearing it all up, this gravel parking
I
lot.
didn't hear about this.
And of course, it was in the middle of the night doing donuts. It's kind of on campus. That's kind of like something that the campus police should go to.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they followed the people, and then so public safety left, and then they came back and they did it again. And public safety came back in and followed them again, like trailed them a little bit. So that newspaper, the Berea Torch, responded with an article talking about how they have a no chase policy, but they followed these students, which they don't really have a no chase policy.
Yeah,
but the
but
idea is
also-
like.
yeah.
They're not going to chase you down and tackle you because they're campus police, you know? Were they really doing anything outside? Like, they weren't doing anything outside of they were performing their job.
Yeah.
So that's a good example. They'll complain about anything and just constantly complain about the school administration and the rules and things like that.
Do you know anybody that works on the Torch?
Yeah,
You do?
we're not going to say
We-
names.
Okay, but so,
They
and
live,
you,
live right across
We
from
live-
Robin.
I mean, they're kind of funny to read because it's like
Yeah, they're not necessarily like
They're
some
not
of them
bad people. It's just
or not all the.
do you
Berea
ever say
Torch
anything?
articles
Do you
are
talk
bad
to them?
either.
Can you say something to them? Like,
I think reading is really like interesting. Like it's just funny.
Entertaining.
Like yeah, it's entertaining to me. It's like what are they going to write about
Well,
this movie?
They're mostly against, like, I think the college does have, when I meant babying, I wasn't talking about the rules, and I actually don't mind the babying, because to me it's kind of nice, because it keeps you really, like, accountable, because your classes are so small that, like, your professors know when you're skipping classes. Like, you can't really skip classes very easily, because your professors know who's in their class, and they know if you didn't go. And then also, there's just a lot of emails they send out with things that you have to do, like, you gotta complete the survey, you have to come here and do this, and there's just sort of continuous things like that, and if you don't do them, they'll put a hold on your account so you can't register for classes or anything like
you are
that.
constantly engaged.
But I think it's because
Yeah.
there's not many students, they have a lot of control over the student
Yeah.
body, and I think that newspaper is very much, all the people that run it are like very into like communist theory.
oh, okay.
So it's based like they're sort of against the authority of the college.
The man.
Right.
Because they don't like the idea of the administration having so much control.
Well, that's not communistic. That would be more anarchistic.
Well,
I think. If
But they
I don't
do
know.
support
well, or maybe they just don't understand. Maybe they say
they're just a bunch of
communistic, but they don't
students,
understand.
so-
yeah, they're a bunch of students. So they're doing.
They might claim.
I
that
think
they're
they're a collection
authoritarianism
of
or
people who are really into communism, people who are really into anarchy, and then people who are really into like Satanism.
So really,
Yeah.
do they write Satanist stuff?
Yeah, they do.
We have
Are they
a
just-
while. We have a very
It's just a
diverse
phase.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing is, it's just people trying to be like rebellious or
It's just a
whatever.
phase.
Some of them are really
Let me-
smart.
If you think about it, you have this school; it's endowed. They are spending a lot of money on each one of you, and they got to make
Yeah.
sure that they're getting return
Public
for their
minutes.
money. You have like a low tolerance for fucking up. They have a low tolerance for alcohol use or drug use or whatever, and they're not going to really allow like too much partying to go on because it's like they need to kick you out. If you're wasting their money, they have to kind of be like spend it on somebody else who is going to just take it seriously.
Yeah.
But so within that context, how do you rebel? You can only rebel by saying you're a Satanist. You have to just go. You have to just like do whatever's the opposite of what you think.
I would say probably most, especially for us here right now, I'd say definitely like most of the student body is extremely grateful, like regardless of the rules. They hold a lot of students up to a high standard, and especially student athletes. Athletics is extremely it's like academics first, labor second, and then athletics.
I think
What do
a
you think?
good
Oh.
portion of the some of the professors and a good portion of the administration are kind of against athletics as like being anything. So they seem to be a little bit harsher on student athletes, which I think is warranted because a lot of our teams have a terrible reputation of just like sucking in school and causing trouble.
Didn't you say that only 3 people from the team graduated
from your of my recruiting class of the cross country team? Only 3 of us have made it. We have 1 more that I think is going to make it. A third of us.
Our team culture is a lot better.
Yeah, our team culture started out with a bunch of guys that sold drugs and they would have parties and they would be drinking lean and like, you know, just doing cocaine and stuff like that.
Right. Do you what I was going to ask, because you guys are all you 4 are athletes, but you're not. LaMonika's not on athletic team. So do you see that? Do you agree with them?
Yeah.
You do? Are you just saying that because they're staring at you?
No.
Us on what?
But like, I don't really see it, but I do get.
Okay. So what do you see?
Teachers talk about it.
Okay, so where are you from? Okay, so I know that you are from Huntsville. Your parents went to college. You're not of and they're like, tell me how the actual experience of Berea matches up with your expectation of it.
So, I did have a few expectations. I was just like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, but it did. At first, I was like, oh, all these rules. Because it's like, I had strict parents back home, you know? Couldn't do a thing. And it's like, oh, I can't, like, go sneak around. There's no visitation. But then I got over that.
Do you think that a lot of people... I noticed that there's lots of African students, like, from Africa who generally usually have really strict parents. Like,
oh, yeah.
So do they, when they get there, are they, like... Do they party? Or
I don't know. They stay within their own...
Okay.
Like, they stay within their own group.
Yeah.
There's a lot of groups, and they're very, like...
To
me, I mean, at least other black people, we don't really merge, you know? So, I don't know what they do.
They do party.
But they do party, from what I've heard.
Wait, when you said other black people, do you mean, like, the African...
like African Americans and Africans, like they're very like to themselves, and then the black people are like kind of like in their own. Little
I think
but
that's because like when you get to Berea, you're like, I don't know anyone.
Yeah, so you have to stay within your own.
Yeah, but like I mean,
well, we all stick with like
I mean, you guys are all white,
distance runners.
But I talk to other people that I mean, like they're not like. We're not like tight knit.
You get to know. Well, it depends on where you work, but if you work somewhere that has a lot of other people working there,
like the farm.
You get to know, well, that's the farm. Just a bunch of white.
I don't know. I never really had like a friend group here, so I can't really speak on that.
One interesting story. I'm the manager at the IT department, and there's a guy. We usually have people who begin like at the front desk to help customer service. And I met one guy there. He's from, which country is it? That's bad. I forgot which country it was. But it's in Africa. And he was saying, like, before Berea, I never even touched a computer. And he's a computer science major.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. And he's teaching, like, he told me, like, how, like, at a young age he left his, like, village, his parents and all his family to travel with his teacher to the city. Wow. And that's the only way he could like get to America is to study.
Wow. So do you guys share? Do you like share stories with people that you meet about like where like is it just kind of like are you in the present or you tell them like where you came from and like what's going on?
For sure.
I feel like it depends on the person too. Yeah. Like if they actually want to talk to you, but I think most of the time you do like this is where I'm from. This is why I'm here.
So you think it feels good that like your eyes like you could open your eyes to other people's
definitely.
Yeah, honestly.
I'm from like a kind of a small town, and I mean it's mostly white people that go to my high school, and you know I come here and I meet a lot of foreign students I've never met otherwise, and I mean like just like on the Berea College farm, Stevenson, he's from Haiti and he's I worked with him for a little bit and he was just telling me a ton about his back home, like how it was going to school in Haiti, like. How his family is, what's going on, and like how he heard about Berea and all that. And it's really interesting hearing these stories. And I mean, there's a ton of different people at Berea, you know, that you've never met otherwise.
Yeah, for me, it was pretty different because I went to like basically a majority black Hispanic high school. So then when I came here, I actually saw a lot more white people than I expected to, and that was pretty different for me. I mean, because we had like a lot of foreign exchange students, so I was getting that diversity, but I didn't really see like a lot of white people, so that was also new.
So do you think that that's like that it's more? Do you feel like it's integrated there? Do you think that, like you said,
I do.
that you do?
Like the college, since you have required labor 10 hours a week, and you have a huge core classes, you end up just like those are the first people you meet, obviously, is in all of those required classes. So I think it is more integrated than you would find most other places.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, at first, I had a very, like, low EFC because,
I don't know what that is.
That's, like, expected family contribution.
Oh, okay.
And then it, like, rose all of a sudden. And it's just, like, my parents don't help me out with college. So I had to, like, take that on, take a loan. And people are like, oh, I never take out a loan, blah, 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 blah. But it's, like, I had to go through that. So I was pretty, like, pissed off. But then I realized it's just not, like, I mean, it's kind of my parents' fault, So... Yeah. I kind of got over that. But, like, now I'm going to be able to, like, study abroad and stuff for a pretty low price and then, like, have an internship and things like that. Right.
So do you feel like your contribution, like, I mean, does it seems fair, right? Because you could take out a loan. I don't know. Like,
actually, what Berea does is, like, I don't know if you guys, probably not, but basically, if you do have a high EFC, you can only take out a certain amount of money because Berea doesn't want to make it look like their students go into a lot of debt. So, like, okay, for this semester, this year, as a junior, you can only take out this much. Mm-hmm. Or as a sophomore, you can only take out this much. And that might not cover all of the money that you have to owe them. Yeah. So it's just like, now what I do? Sell my plasma? Get on a pole? Like, what do I do now to pay all that money off?
I did.
And people are like, I mean, but you don't.
I'm not going to ask, but.
And then it's like, Berea, you can only work that job as, like, your work study job. You cannot have a job outside of that. So it's like, you have to, if your stuff is high and your parents don't help you out, it's like, you have to make ends meet a certain way. And so I was pretty, like, grumpy about that.
Do you guys so with the labor, with the required labor, do you get paid?
Yeah, we get paid, but it's like $6 an hour, $5.
It's $5 or $6.
It depends on your position. So
and they're able to do that
only
because
gives
it's
you so
like
much.
tied so closely to the school and its scholarship.
Yeah.
So
Actually, I didn't know that we got paid at all. I thought it was just. I thought it was tuition, then you had to work.
Yeah.
But
you
I mean, that
get paid
can only give you so much.
Yeah.
And you know, everyone does. A lot of students do actually pay like a little bit, like for housing and like their meal plan, but that's all dependent like on their
parents.
Their parents, that EFC.
There's a peak,
And you know, some people are like paying for all themselves, but so like maybe like your EFC is not showing like. It's not showing those like unique like circumstances.
Actual
like LaMonika, like maybe like it was showing up that she had a higher EFC, but she was the one covering all the costs.
I don't know.
This is definitely.
I don't know. It's like even if it's a couple of thousand, that's still like a lot for me because
it's a huge
like I
risk
can't.
for anybody.
And then you can't have another job. So it's like, what do I do? Like sell my body? I mean, no, I'm just playing. Yeah.
That's also not allowed.
That's also. I have an interesting story.
Well, like an interesting story. Like somebody said you had the bus ride from Arizona.
Oh my gosh, that's not Berea related.
It's not. No, just okay. But you were on the track team, no?
Yeah,
it's sort of the old track team culture.
Okay.
Culture.
But it's so.
So basically, COVID happened, and our old team, not like everyone, but the toxic people of our team decided we're like, let's go to Flagstaff, Arizona, which is a hot spot for training, for altitude training. And then I was like, I don't know. And our old coach was like, I don't know what, but he's like, you should go with these guys. And my gut was like, don't. These guys they're bad news. So basically, flash forward, they're doing dumb stuff on the trip. I went along, like driving drunk and doing drugs. I was feeling very uncomfortable, and they're being extremely mean to me, even though I did not say a word.
Sorry.
One of them did point a gun at me.
Are you serious?
Oh my god!
Yeah. I will not name names.
Oh my god.
Basically, I left. When we got there, I stayed a week. I was like, I don't want to be here.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And my brother passed away, and I was like stuck on the other side of the country, and COVID was ramping up, so all the flights were canceled. So I couldn't get home, and the only way I could get home was bus, and I rode on a bus for 3 days straight, no shower. But I met like the most. It was like the ugly side, like the humanistic side of America that like America doesn't want you to know about. I saw people who were immigrants who were trying to find a better place during the pandemic. I met like a mother and like a couple and their baby just trying to get out of like Latin America. I think it was Ecuador, and they finally got visas. I think it was visas or green card, one of those two. I've met inmates.
Yeah,
someone straight.
You'll meet them on the bus.
Well, straight off, still wearing the orange.
Yeah.
I assume he came from a mental ward because he was whispering to himself and saying, "I'm going to kill everyone." And then
I think he was escaped.
I think he was escaped.
Send him off.
I got to tell you about this after this. I'll tell you about the bus ride that I've taken.
Oh gosh,
just like that. Yeah.
When we stopped at Albuquerque, New Mexico, they arrested him.
Dang.
And then I met someone who tried to sell me pot. He was obviously homeless, but I felt sort of compassion for him because the whole ride, I rode with him the whole, to Oklahoma City, and he did not eat a single thing because he had no money. And, out of, just sheer, oh, this guy's probably going to die if I don't give him something. So I gave him something. I'm like, please don't rob me, please don't rob me. Please. But he didn't.
Okay,
he was very grateful. And I think the most, I'll end the story here. Or near here. I met someone who was also an inmate, been in prison since 2004, and that was the second sentence that came out of his mouth. It's I got out of prison. I'm like, oh, cool. But he talked about basically how he wasted his life and how it's he's talked about how emotions are just energy, and he used all his energy just to hurt others and do terrible things, and that's what got him in trouble. And he said, you gotta take all that energy and hate and anger and, all the negative emotions and use the energy towards something positive that's going to build you. And it's wow, this is coming, it's from someone who's an inmate, but, he's definitely learned his lesson. I think, I don't know, but it was very weird. And I ended here, we stopped in Columbus. I was going to, again, on another bus. I walked a few steps, walked back, he was gone. I was like, what? And I looked around the station, did not see him at all. I was like, was it that guy a ghost or something?
Yeah, maybe it was
a ghost?
A hallucination of somebody trying to.
Didn't you say you were working on some homework on your computer?
Yeah, I was working on homework.
He did not know what a computer was.
Well, he knew what a computer was, but he never seen mine. He saw I was programming. He's like, what is that? What is that?
Wow.
And he's like, man, I didn't, growing up, I didn't have a computer. I didn't see one, forever. It definitely made me see, the more humanistic, I guess the good, the bad, the ugly sort of side.
Yeah. Okay.
And we went from that previous semester, we were lowest team GPA, I think maybe in recent school history, but also lowest team GPA, in the whole school. And then this semester we were, and another interesting thing was that the team GPAs went all of the women's team, followed by so the lowest women's team GPA was higher than the highest men's team GPA
in the school, yeah.
On the school, and I guess that's just how college is in general. But I feel like it's a little worse at Berea, because I think maybe the men rebel a little bit more, or they just do dumb stuff or something.
Yeah.
And then we went for this year. We had the highest team GPA on campus, above even all the women's teams. So
Brainiacs.
that was
That's
a big switch in the team from COVID. COVID knocked out everyone that was
failing.
All the people he went out to Arizona with, basically.
Oh God.
So smeared. When Luke came back for his first semester back with all of us, I actually had to stay home because I accidentally crashed my car when I hit some black ice. I had to stay home and work at my parents' restaurant where I was able to make more money than I would have at school. and I just took online classes, and I got really stressed out, and I felt a little lonely because I had built up like the new bond at the team, and I wasn't able to train with them. I was training all alone, so I didn't realize how close we had really gotten, like truly gotten, until I spent that semester away, and then it was actually pretty hard that semester away.
Yeah.
And then when we finally came back, it was really relieved to be back on campus.
Yeah.
So
good. And you two, why did you decide to go when everybody was? Was it because it was better than being at home, or like the same with you?
For us,
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
me, it
for
was
you.
because we have terrible internet access at home.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I remember. So
I
yeah.
couldn't do it online.
So you guys had.
Also,
bad
I thought you
internet.
had to as a freshman.
We
sure.
did. As a freshman,
Yeah.
you did have to.
So I
You had.
didn't
You
have
had.
that.
So you would have
you
been
had-
lonely.
So that's another example of them. They do a lot of things to try to keep you from like just
wandering.
like we're just getting like not using the money that they're giving you
Yeah,
because
yeah.
so freshmen they know they have high rates of just like dropping out
Yeah.
or something, or just like over the breaks they don't want you to leave during like the first breaks. They make all these required things you have to go to instead.
Right.
Because people a lot of times in the first breaks when you're a freshman just leave and then they never come back, because first generation students it's a lot harder to adapt, I think.
Right.
Um,
Right. And so, so that was the main criteria was for you, was that the internet was bad at home at your
I
parents'?
also knew that like
Yeah.
well, to me I had a feeling that it wasn't going to bother me that much to be at school, because I don't really enjoy having a very full like social life or
Well, yeah. So tell a little bit about, like, you and Silas pretty much have the same upbringing, but so you were both homeschooled,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that you had a small you had a small like bubble anyway.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're
I really just interacted with like my teammates that I ran with,
Right.
and then when I went to school, I just ran with this same very small
Right. But
group of teammates.
so do you feel
Not
like
the same,
so when you went to Berea, it must have expanded your horizons, like going from like this kind of. It's not like you didn't have any friends, but I mean, you'd traveled, like you'd been to China, and we have like, it's not like you hadn't been anywhere or done anything, but like, do you feel like you went from one bubble to another bubble? Like, do you feel like you're equipped now to like join the like
like a bigger school.
Yeah.
not a bigger school or like just the world?
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like you're equipped to like have social skills?
Not
Not that you
go
did.
first.
Yeah, so
Probably more. I don't know if I'm equipped, but I feel like
I don't think he is so either.
I feel like
Quiet as guy during this whole thing.
But
I feel like I definitely have become better in social situations
you do,
from being in Berea. Yeah.
right? That's good. Or do you think that's just your age, or you think it's because you?
No, I mean, I think if I didn't continue to hardly socialize, I probably would have stayed bad at socializing.
Yeah, and you?
I think for me it's been when I first got to Berea it wasn't that hard for me socially because I was generally fairly outgoing.
Yeah.
I think but I think it was to meet a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds and just I don't know, realize that people are they're not better or smarter than you depending on everyone seems kind of just the same. And then I
Except
also
Aziz. Aziz is
yeah, yeah, he just I feel pretty confident.
Thanks for listening. And if you have any questions or comments about what you heard today, please post them to the review section of your podcast player. So if you use Apple Podcasts, you click on the show thumbnail and scroll down to leave a review. And then whatever happens after that is up to you. But hopefully it's nice. You can also leave posts on Instagram at @MemoryChipsPodcast.